As we prepare for Christmas, the people of Ukraine are fighting their 1,394th day of resistance since Putin's full-scale invasion, their fourth Christmas of the war. I'd like to update the House on the work we are doing to bring a just and lasting peace to Ukraine by ensuring they're in the best possible position on the battlefield and at the negotiating table. A small number of our armed forces are at the heart of that work, from delivering military training in the UK, to transporting kit to Ukraine, to helping develop innovative new warfighting capabilities. And last week, our armed forces and our country lost one of our brightest and best, Lance Corporal George Hooley. Lance Corporal George Hooley was a model soldier. He was tragically killed observing trials in Ukraine for a new defensive drone system well away from the front line. I know the whole House will have been moved by the final letter he wrote to his family that they released yesterday to coincide with his repatriation. And the whole House will want to join me in sending our heartfelt thoughts and condolences to all his family, friends and colleagues. Madam Deputy Speaker, this government and this House will stand with our Ukrainian friends for as long as it takes. 12 months ago, I set out 5 areas where this government would increase that support, with the backing of members across this House and a commitment of countless defence personnel, partners in industry and allied nations. We've delivered on all 5. Firstly, we've strengthened Ukraine's military capabilities with a record £4.5 billion military support package this year, including supplies of tens of thousands of rounds of advanced missiles and ammunition, 85,000 drones, up from the 10,000 gifted last year, and the new Gravehawk air defence system co-developed with our Danish partners. Second, we have now trained more than 62,000 Ukrainians here in the UK alongside our Operation Interflex allies, and we have extended that programme until at least the end of 2026. Third, to boost Ukraine's indigenous defence industrial base so that their destiny is increasingly in their own hands, I've led further trade missions to Kyiv, and we've signed new government-to-government cooperation agreements that have enhanced the sharing of battlefield technologies and facilitated the £1.6 billion deal in March for 5,000 lightweight air defence missiles that supports 700 jobs at Thales in Belfast, demonstrating how growing defence spending across the globe can act as an engine for growth across all our nations and regions in the UK. Fourth, the UK has ramped up our international leadership, with the Defence Secretary stepping up in the spring to co-chair the Ukraine Defence Contact Group of over 50 nations alongside Germany. Since then, our UDCG partners have pledged over £50 billion of military support for Ukraine. And at Tuesday's UDCG meeting, we confirmed the UK's biggest single-year investment in air defence for Ukraine. And I'm pleased to confirm to the House that the UK is providing £600 million worth of air defence systems, missiles, automated turrets to shoot down Russian drones and defend Ukrainian civilians. This includes Raven systems to protect frontline units, Gravehawk systems that reinforce Ukraine's ability to protect key infrastructure from Russia's deep strike barrages, and counter-drone turrets specifically designed to defeat Shahed-style attack drones at scale and at lower cost. And fifth and finally, alongside our allies, we've significantly ramped up sanctions and economic pressure on the Russian economy, sanctioning Russia's largest oil majors, lowering the crude oil price cap alongside EU partners, contributing to a 35% fall in Russia's oil revenues year on year, introducing a maritime services ban on Russian LNG to be phased in over the next year, announcing our intention to ban the import of oil products of Russian origin that have been refined in third countries. And just this morning, we announced a further 24 sanction designations across Russian oil, military and financial sectors to further ramp up economic pressure on Putin. And as the Prime Minister said to the Coalition of the Willing last month, the UK is ready to move with the EU to provide financial support for Ukraine based on the value of immobilised Russian assets, and we're working with EU and G7 partners to advance this, and I hope for further positive discussions on that today. Madam Deputy Speaker, sanctions tightened, alliances strengthened, industrial cooperation boosted, military training delivered, and the biggest annual package of UK military support for Ukraine to date. And yesterday we went further, with the Chancellor and the Foreign Secretary calling time on Roman Abramovich's inaction. The government has issued a licence that enables the transfer of more than £2.5 billion from the sale of Chelsea F.C. to benefit the victims of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And we urge Abramovich to honour the commitment that he made over 3 years ago or face court action. 12 months ago, I pledged that this government would provide ironclad support for Ukraine, and that is what we have delivered. And that is what we will continue to deliver for as long as Putin continues his barbaric assault on the Ukrainian people. And I know that support will continue to enjoy cross-party support in this House. What was not on the table last December were peace talks. And on Monday, the Prime Minister was in Berlin with European leaders to advance President Trump's peace initiative. The leaders welcomed the significant progress that has been made and reiterated their commitment to work together to provide robust security guarantees and support economic recovery as part of any peace agreement. We've worked determinedly with our French counterparts to establish a coalition of the willing. It now consists of 36 countries and a multinational force, Ukraine, which is an essential pillar of the credible security guarantees required to deter Putin from coming back for more territory in the future. It has been the position of this government from the outset that Ukraine's voice must be at the heart of any peace talks, and that is what we have worked to achieve, not just because that is what our values and our international norms and laws dictate, but also because practically Ukraine is too powerfully, militarily, too determined to defend its sovereignty for peace to be built over the country's head. And whilst a pattern has emerged of Russia claiming battlefield successes at opportune political moments, time and time again their claims have been exposed as disinformation. Russia has suffered over 1 million casualties to gain around 1% of Ukrainian territory since the stabilisation of the front line in 2022. In more than a year of fighting, the comparatively small city of Pokrovsk, Russia has advanced only 15 kilometres, equivalent to 40 metres a day. And although Putin claimed to have finally taken the city ahead of the recent visit of the American negotiating team, it is our defence intelligence assessment that pockets of Ukrainian resistance continue to operate there. Right across the front line, it is Ukraine's continued strength from the battlefield that gives them strength at the negotiating table. So we will continue with our allies to boost that strength and to secure the credible security guarantees needed to underpin a just and lasting peace. And Madam Deputy Speaker, as we approach the 5th year of fighting since Russia's full-scale invasion, this government is in no doubt that the front line of UK and European security continues to run through Ukraine. 12 months ago, there was no clear route to ending the war. Today, the US-initiated peace process represents the brightest path towards securing a just and lasting peace that we've seen since the start of the full-scale invasion. To support these diplomatic efforts, we're accelerating joint work with the US on security guarantees. The Defence Secretary directed military chiefs this week to review and update multinational force Ukraine military plans, so we are ready to deploy when peace comes. This includes revising and raising readiness levels. As we continue to work with allies to maximise pressure on Putin's war machine, to strengthen Ukraine's hand on the battlefield and grow their defence industrial base. Russia's economy is getting weaker. Military spending is around 40% of the budget, Russia's VAT is rising, and Russia's social spending is falling. So we will continue to work with our allies to tighten the screw on the Russian economy, to provide more support for Ukraine, to lay the foundations for the just and lasting peace that the Ukrainian people so deserve and want. Because with increasing grey zone attacks across Europe, Ukraine's security remains our security. And I commend that approach and this statement to the House.